Hello, Southern Cameroonians. History in the making. Whether punctuated or smooth, it will be history. Much appreciation for being part of it as a West Cameroonian, a British Southern Cameroonian. I am part of it. I cannot run away from my own history. What it means is that each and every one of us, including me, will always come on the media and do something to show your contribution to advice. And these advices are not only for the protesting group, but also for the government of Cameroon, because the government needs advice, like any other institution. I want to start by giving thanks to Aljazeera for their weekly updates, to France24 for their prison video in Kondengi, to Russia Today for calling it Cameroon blood, to my girl Abiola from Nigeria for shining the light on the protest so the world can know what the problem is. What we have to know is that in the beginnings, there was Bernard Fonlon. When Bernard Fonlon joined the rest of his colleagues, Francophone colleagues, in that École Normale des Instituteurs in Foulassy near Mbamayo, to write out the verses of our national anthem, which we sing till today. That was a Cameroon founded on a federated democracy, the foundations of a great country. But sadly, the hopes and aspirations of our founders, their dreams have been dashed, belittled, betrayed. Events from November 2016 to present in Cameroon have colored my outlook completely. I thought I've learned so much through my travels and my life, but I find out at every twist and every turn, with every development, that there is still so much that I have to learn. Those little misdemeanors, arguments amongst protesting groups and leaders that I have heard of lately, those diaspora confusions, constitute what can sadly but certainly be perceived as a disappointment. If this Anglophone protest was about impressing young girls or winning fans on Facebook, we would have defeated that government a long time ago. But it is not like that. It is about liberating 8 million people. And therefore, it requires maturity. It requires thick skins. How childish is it to hear a young leader muttering phrases such as play the fool, give unity a chance, jump and pass. Southern Cameroonians are eternally grateful to Tassin Wilfred. That momentous moment when he said all complaints must be heard, that the strike continues until everybody in Southern Cameroon is listened to and everybody is satisfied. The relationship between the establishment and the people of Southern Cameroon changed forever. A seismic shift in the landscape of Cameroon occurred. And I'm hoping that people on the Francophone side are taking initiative from this. Now, anyone putting a finger on Tassin makes me conclude, as Trevor Sofield said in 2006, that community is a holistic myth. Community is a place of confusion. It's a difficult thing to deal with. Now, let's change the mood to something a bit more positive. And I'm borrowing from Father Jombam. He used the term the anger of the voiceless is dangerous. And I want to take you to somebody in France called Charles Baudelaire, 1854. He wrote a book called Les Fleurs du Mal, Flowers of Evil. Inside Flowers of Evil, there is one poem that caught my attention. It's called Elevation. And the very last stanza of it says something that is quite moving for Cameroonians to listen to. And I will read it now. Derrière les ennuis et les vastes chagrins qui chargent de leur poids l'existence brumeuse, heureux c'est lui qui peut d'une aile vigoureuse plane sur la vie et comprend sans effort la langue des fleurs et des choses muettes. And I read it in English. Beyond the vast sorrows and all the vexations that weigh upon our lives and obscure our vision, happy is he who vigorously fans the senses, who skims over life and understands with absolute ease the language of flowers and silent things. It's always important when people are quiet to use that quiet moment to build up something. And that is how Anglophone communities have been. Silent flowers until the point where if you do not tend the flowers properly, flowers begin to hurt you. The establishment in Cameroon thought that they understood our silence for so long. Well, they were wrong. The establishment lived with that, they was deceived with that illusion that they understood us, but that was not the case. The colonialism and marginalization of the former British Southern Cameroons that we are decrying, that we are bemoaning right now, was not in the wish list of French founders. And I want to turn the clock back to about 500 years ago. Napoleon Bonaparte, and trust the British, trust my British people. We defeated him in the Battle of Trafalgar. But he said something that was quite moving. And I remember it as I've been questioning, because this history that is being made is making me ask many questions that I did not ask in the past. Napoleon Bonaparte said that a throne is a chair covered in velvet. If you put that simply, it means a throne is simply a decorated chair. You come to power, you leave, you let someone else take over. He did not say you should remain to power forever. That's not at all needed. Not in the world of now. And then you have, candidates in the current French election, making a point about it. Yannick Jadot, one of the candidates. Nous devons regarder notre passé en face. We should look at our own past with honesty. If we were wrong, we apologize, we pay reparations. And Marine Le Pen, wise women of France, what did she say? We need to stop financial slavery. Francophrique has to stop. And the echoing sentiments, of other people in Cameroon, people who understand history, who may not have gone to the highest levels in school, but they understand history. Longue, what did he say? L'histoire est le passé basé sur les écrits. It is written and scripted. Everything that comes to pass would have been written before. We know clearly the consequences of colonialism. They are clearly written in theory and they are practiced. So who fooled Cameroon? That she was so different from other former French colonies, that she will forever be immune to the political upheavals that we see in other countries, that she will have everlasting peace. La stabilité qui n'étant pas monnaie courante en Afrique. Gardez par Paul Biya pour longtemps, 34 years. Who fooled us that 34 years meant that we will forever be in peace? Who fooled us that we were immune to the chronicles, documented, the scripts written on colonialism? Why did we not know the consequences of colonialism? Why did we not know that it was coming to us, especially after we missed, an uprising in 2008? And I will come to that in another video. Who fooled us that we were so immune to the well-established colonial theory that when the French maintain you in power for too long, they condemn your country to a never-ending, cycle of wars and quarrels, material practices of domination, power struggles. Les choses qui arrivent aux autres commencent déjà à m'arriver. Remember that music in Cameroon? All these civil wars that we saw in other countries, quarrels, are beginning to visit us. Kilgara tells Merlin in one of the Legends of King Arthur, a movie that I like so much, that man is not called by knowledge. Instead, he uses it to guide him. That is what we failed to do in Cameroon before now. I really wish I had a magic wand to bring this Anglophone problem to, anything but a soldierly or martial end tomorrow. Or to use that magic wand to despise the power that kings and leaders and presidents buy with the lives of men. To prevent my own country from becoming tumbled temples of antiquity if a civil war breaks out, because I don't want that. My village, my family will be affected. We don't want war. And that is why the consortium is unshakable. It must be respected. Certain events can completely change the course of history. If William Gladstone, the Prime Minister of England, at the time when we were asking for British annexation, did not reject it, if he accepted our plea for annexation, we may have been a country like Ghana, like Nigeria, 10 times more democratic. If Germany ruled Cameroon for longer than they actually did, with all the buildings, the relics, the monuments that you see on the landscape of Cameroon now, Cameroon would have been a better place. Probably this division and quarreling would not have existed. If Robin Omnyobe became or survived the French assassination and became the first leader, the first head of state, what we now see, referred to as absolutist gerontocracy, a generation of old people ruling us. And thank Adrian Bloomfield, thank you for teaching me that word. A generation of old people ruling on wanting to hang on to power by the thread. That would not be the case. So the consortium is the UPC of our time, and I want to give you the reasons why. If you compare that, Ruben Omnyobe was born in 1913, about 3 years before Jongu Foncha. By 1924, he went to secondary school normally, passed his GCE O level. He wrote a concours to enter the École Normale de Formation, École Normale des Instituteurs, which in some ways it is the ENAM at that time. But because he was not happy with the ways of treatment by the institution, the way the institution treated students, like Akwanga or Nti Valentine at the University of Boya, complaining against the university treatment, creating a strike. He was dismissed, but he still passed the concours to work as a government administrator. The Machiavelli label is misleading and deceptive. It frames our ancient liberators in the negative. The Machiavelli label, as we were growing up, makes us feel that these were people who were killing people. They were doing it because they were pushed into the bushes. From Douala Mangabel to Ernest Wanji through Ruben Omnyobe, all of them were people who fought for our own country to be free. And if you want to compare the UPC, which was like the CPDM at that time, the most popular party, and the consortium now, you will see that both were born out of trade unionism, a confederation of trade unions. Both were against colonially inspired governance. Both were agents of decolonization. Both were, contained people who advocated for a fair society. Both echoed populist sentiments, trying to liberate their people. Both used the wisdom of the diaspora. Because I remember Ernest Wanji had sent Dongmo to get some money from somebody at the United Nations. The UPC had bases in Congo, and they were communicating with them, supplying them with, more maquisards. People in the UPC and those of the consortium, look at Agwabala and Ruben Omnyobe, were all well-traveled, and travel bestowed in them the ordinance of the experience of the difference between their own country, which was not well-governed, and countries where they went to, where governance was better. And therefore they came back and wanted something different for their people. The consortium, like it or not, although an Anglophone something, is the UPC of our time. The group that will liberate us. And the Anglophone problem, as you would know by now, was a time bomb unleashed.